Meanwhile, inside Storm's brain...
Those were pages from Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost from last week's comic books. Hi, everybody. This is Brett from Comic Book Quiz. I'm sorry. That was so goddamn stupid. I loved that so much. Welcome to episode 122 of Comic Book Queer's Legacy. I am Brett, and I am joined by my co-host and partner in Crim, Evil Jeff. Hi, Evil.
Hi. Oh my God. It's like a crazy day in the X world, don't you think?
It's a crazy day. It's a prolific one at that. In fact, I think this week we're going to pretty much focus only on them X books.
Yeah, we actually haven't been talking about other books that much in the past few weeks. But you know what? I don't care. I love it.
Well, we're also gonna we're gonna dive into a new Netflix show later on in the program.
Yeah, about a redhead losing control of her powers. So it's still basically the X-Men.
But it's still the Jean Grey story.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about I Am Not Okay With This, which we'll talk about later in the show. But first...
Okay, what are you going to pick?
Hot topics.
The X-Men has some things going on. Do we want to talk about... Do we want to get real or do we want to get gross? What should we start with?
Let's get gross.
Okay, well, it turns out that there's a theory going on, which is the dumbest theory. Because there is a thing called thruples. There's a thing called polyamorous relationships. And clearly, and we will talk about this, it is now official. There is no hiding it. It is official that Cyclops and Wolverine have had sex. And they are having sex with Jean Grey as well. They are all three together. And then Emma is also, I think Cyclops then goes off with Emma on the side to have sex. But there's a new theory going around that Wolverine has two dicks to fuck Cyclops and Jean Grey at the same time.
Diphallic terata. Is that a rumor or is that some bullshit Bleeding Cool article?
Well, that's the thing is Bleeding Cool said this is a rumor that's going around. And in fact, someone actually asked it at the C2E2. Is C2E2 in Chicago?
Yes. And I missed it this year for the first time in 12 years.
Wow. Well, you're garbage. Anyway, so someone actually asked Hickman whether that was true. And wait, do you remember what he said in the article? He just said he didn't deny anything about the threesome, the thruple.
Sure.
But I think I think he just was like, rising.
I think he took it as seriously as I'm taking this right now.
Yeah.
But I think this is some jamoke stood up and yeah.
I love that this is like, these are the questions that are going to be asked. When I feel like if he just asked, is Wolverine and Cyclops, have they had anal sex? Like I think that's a more upfront question that he might have been more inclined to answer.
Look, let's break this down for everybody. I think where we're going here, I think all mutants are poly. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. I think, honestly, Hickman, like, well, what about all the romances? I think Hickman was like, if you're a mutant, you're poly. That's basically what's up. That's what mutant sex is. We're redefining mutant religion. We're redefining mutant culture. All of it. We're including mutant sex in the whole equation. Everybody fucks everybody.
Yeah, mutants are the bonobos and humans are the chimpanzees.
They're the Bonobos.
Yeah.
And not the chic men's clothing store.
No. Have you bought things from that store?
I buy a lot from Bonobos.
My boyfriend is obsessed with it. I think he just likes that, like, oh, we're actually going to custom make it for you. And I feel it's all a lie. I feel like they're just like, oh, get this size.
Oh, absolutely. I've never custom made anything. I'm like,
really?
can I have
Just
a
buy it off the
medium
rack?
sent to my house?
Oh, no, he
you haven't
went
sent.
and they did his neck and his arms, and they like, were like, nope, we're sending the specific one exactly to fit you.
Oh my God.
It was a dress short with like unicorns on it.
Oh my God, that's such a big Bonobos.
Is gay.
And fashionable.
Mm-hmm.
Which some gays aren't. All right, anyway, Two Dick Wolverine. Listen, you and I could teach a workshop on how to come up with better questions at conventions and how to avoid wanting the spotlight when you're doing so.
Yeah, exactly.
But seriously, do you think Wolverine has two dicks?
No.
Yeah, this is what happens
how
when...
it works. Wolverine is putting his wiener in Jean while Cyclops is putting his dick in Wolverine. That's how that works, dummies, or vice versa.
That's how it works, dummies. Or they're spit roasting Jean. We don't, while looking each other in the eyes. We don't know.
While she's floating them
we do
up.
know.
She's literally laying there and like no one is moving and she's moving their bodies.
Yeah.
In and out.
She's like, they're like a giant letter H floating around the sky.
Yes. And I love it.
I love it. This is what happens when this is what happens when the straights finally catch on that all the mutants are fucking. They're like, oh, what does he have? Two dicks, one for Jean, one for Scott.
Straight people, beat it.
Get your head around sexual nuance.
Go suck a dick.
And then suck a dick.
Yeah. And then there's other news.
Real news.
There's a new crossover event, which I find kind of ridiculous since everything pretty much takes place in Krakoa. It's all a crossover. Like everything's kind of a crossover event in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but those gates lead to so many places.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like, this is like the extinction agenda of 2020. Is that what this is supposed to be?
That's exactly what this is. This is the Inferno of 2020. And I think Inferno might have a little something to do with it. At C2E2, the X staff announced a big epic crossover starting in July called 10 of Swords. 10 spelled like powers of 10.
Oh, I thought it was X of Swords.
It's 10 of Swords. That's a tarot card.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 of Swords is a tarot card, just like those tarot cards that we saw about like the Tower and the Cardinal, and we'll talk about that later on.
All right.
But the best part about it is that every X-Men has a sword, and this is like, it's the beautiful in-between of this is so freaking stupid and this rules.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with it.
Well, but here's the thing. Now that you said 10 of Swords, I read tarot cards.
I did not know that.
Yes, I've read them since I was 12.
Will you do mine?
Right now? No.
Is that a thing? No,
but
not now.
I've never done it over the phone.
Can we do it over like Zoom?
Yeah. But I've been reading them since I was 12. An old gypsy woman gave me my deck. No, that's just kidding. I found them in Key West, a deck in Key West, and I thought the pictures were pretty. So I bought them to draw them, but then I read how to do it. And every time I read someone's like fortune, they freaked out how accurate it was. And now my thing is where I just get super high and I read it for people. And I have probably read hundreds of people, and I have never once had a person that was not like amazed. And I don't even think I'm psychic. I don't know what's going on.
That's incredible. I don't think you're psychic either.
Do you know what the 10 of Swords is?
I was just going to ask.
Ruin. It's the card of ruin. It's the card of defeat.
Oh, no.
So interesting.
Interesting. Slightly more interesting is that each character has got a sword that matches their personality.
No, I don't mean to bring this back to 2002, but when I saw this picture,
do it.
I was like, this is so gay.
Oh, stop.
Like, but the bad gay. Like,
oh, I love it. It's campy.
It's so... I hate it.
Oh, you're going to love it. Shut up. And you're going to be obsessed with who has what sword.
Hey, well, first of all, hi, I'm Iceman, and I've got an ice sword.
That's right.
And then, of course, Nightcrawler has his pirate sword, which he has used,
Yes.
so I'm okay with that.
Apocalypse has a scimitar, which he has used.
Is that Eye-Boy?
Eye-Boy has an Eye-Boy sword. We don't know the story.
Who's that is that Blindfold?
No, it's Gorgon.
Oh, Gorgon. And then, what's that Marauder's name?
Scalp Hunter. He has
Scalp
he has a
sword?
harpoon.
Oh, it's
No, he has a harpoon. It's an affront because the harpoon is the one that hurt everybody back when during the Mutant Massacre.
Right.
The fact that Scalp Hunter has a harpoon, it's insulting to me. It's offensive.
But isn't Scalp Hunter and Harpoon two different people? Why doesn't Harpoon have the harpoon?
Because they haven't brought Harpoon back that I know of.
Ugh. Anyway, we also have fucking Rachel Gray with her dumb Phoenix sword.
The rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire sword.
Psylocke has her swords, which is fine. But why are her swords not... Why? I always hate it. Why does sometimes she have real swords and other times she just has telekinetic swords?
Well, Betsy Braddock proper is using the telekinetic sword.
But then Psylocke could still be using telekinetic katanas.
Yeah, I don't think she does, though. I think she uses katanas.
Okay. All right.
That's Quanen's jam. That's what she likes to do. She likes to put on some psychic butterfly wings with her real swords.
All I know is that Cyclops has like a ruby quartz photon beam sword.
Oh, well,
Storm has a lightning sword.
I love it. I think I read that Corsair gave Cyclops that sword at some point.
Ugh.
Oh, please. This is how I want the X-Men introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like, the X-Men have swords.
We all have swords. I hate it.
Who are the X-Men? Who cares? They have swords.
I just picture a bunch of white straight dudes being like, what's crossover event?
Sure.
What if like all the X-Men bear with me, had swords? Yeah.
Well,
like this is what I'm picturing and it grosses me out.
My understanding is that this one was named, if not shaped, at least named by Teenie Howard.
Well, Teenie Howard was like, are we really doing this? Fine. Just at least let me...
Fine, call it Ten of Swords.
Let me figure it out so it's not fucking gay.
Stop it.
Who's the person next to Rachel?
Ugh, I don't have it open. Why are you going to make me research?
But there's a guy, he has like a mask on. And...
Is he on the right side?
He's on the left side. He looks like a knight. I don't know
the guy
who
with
that
wings?
is. No, that's Angel.
No, that's not. That's one of the Children of the Atom.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started on the Children of the Atom.
Oh, it's gonna be your favorite book.
Maybe. I don't know. I've been proven wrong before. But right now, I just want to hate everything. I want to hate everything, Brett. I'm going to hate a lot of things. And that's a preview of things to come.
It's Captain Britain. What's wrong with you?
Captain Britain is not a mutant. What is he doing there?
He's got a sword.
All right.
Look, Douglock has got a
warlock sword.
A warlock sword.
What the hell does armor? Armor just has an armor sword.
She just made a sword with her armor.
And then Wolverine, you have claws. Why do you need a sword, Wolverine?
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's not new.
It's dumb. I don't like it. Are you mad? Are you getting angry?
It's his Muramasa. Yes. Look, I told you House of X was going to be amazing. I'm telling you, Ten of Swords is going to be amazing.
Oh my God. All right.
But listen, don't hold your breath. Cue the music. Oh yeah.
We have a lot to get through.
Shoo-be-doo-be.
And we are just going to power through this.
Everybody, welcome to Waiting to Exhale, our segment where we cover this past week's X-Men books. And there were a lot of them. There were 5. 5! Like in the X-Men.
The 5. Mm.
So, let's start with that New Mutants, shall we?
All right.
So this was Ed Brisson, right?
Yeah.
This is at Brisson. This is kind of back where we have left space, and we're kind of back with the armor and Maxine and Mignon
Yeah.
group. Boom, boom. And this time Magma's joined the fray.
And is it just me, or no one has ever figured out what Magma's deal is? Everyone has tried to be like, maybe we're going to make her like this. And now she's basically just like, she's a nothing. She's a nothing. She used to be kind of bratty and being like, I don't understand how phones work because I thought it was ancient Rome and Brazil, which I still don't understand at all.
Yeah.
And what I thought that didn't they say that world didn't exist anymore in Nova Roma?
It was supposed to be. It was revealed that it never existed. It was an illusion by Celine, and then somehow it was like, no, it did exist. The illusion was that it was an illusion.
I'm hoping they're just being revealed so the whole thing can just be burned to the ground.
Oh my God.
I'm over it. I think it's done.
No, they need to put a gate there.
Fine, whatever. This whole issue was bad. It was because I was like, Magma, I don't get who you are. Is this how Magma acts? Because remember that last run of New Mutants in like 2010?
Yeah,
when and that Magma was like super angry, and then she like started dating Mephisto, like what was it, like son of Satan or something? She was like dating somebody from hell, and she's all like, "Oh, I'm bad. I'm dating someone from hell because I have fire powers.
I'm bad."
And now I'm just like, who is this person? I mean, Boom Boom.
We all have our
and stop trying to make armor happen. Armor's boring. I would have rather it just been Boom Boom. Just been Boom Boom by herself. That would have been way more interesting.
Armor's the responsible one.
Ugh.
You have to have a rock. I just feel like the character has just changed ever since Melsvix.
Whose character?
Donovex. Armor. She's just more. She's like a lot more like leader. You know, like I never really pictured Armor as like the Danny Moonstar of a group. You know, but she very much is these days. Which is great. Hey, it's great. Character growth. You found your leadership. Good. Found your voice. Love it. I love it.
Who do you think these where do you think these monsters are? It was some like person made them?
Some lady at the end. So we did see these monsters. We saw these monsters in Marauders. They had cut to them in like Marauders #1. So I like that consistency. And I don't know. It's like I think we introduced a new villain.
We got enough.
We don't have enough because all the villains are good now.
No, X-Men, just the X-Men comic alone now has like 7 different villains. We have enough.
Good. They're creating the new universe. I love it.
Okay, fine. Let's stop talking about one because that one was bad.
Okay, sorry.
Let's get to a better one. X-Force.
X-Force.
Like, minusculely better. I don't know. I'm on my period. I'm just like, fuck all this shit.
Oh, I can't wait till we get to Fantastic Four. Ooh.
So, here we are in X-Force, and we finally get like, did they have sex? Do you think it's implied that they had sex?
I feel like they keep actively not having sex. Yeah. Colossus and Domino.
But Colossus is getting real dark. He's like, hey, let's go out in the water, and I'll hold on to you. Then I'll turn to steel, and then we'll drown, and then we'll come back. Kinky. I'm like, what the fuck? I told you this was going to start happening, the suicides. I'm just going to fucking kill myself.
I want somebody to have like a dying fetish, and I want it to be Colossus.
Yeah. And then Kitty will like try to stop him, and then he's like, no, you could have had all of this, and you didn't.
Speaking of all of this, he's very large.
Yeah, large and in charge.
He's very large. I can't picture this Colossus and this Domino having sex.
Hey,
take a lot of luck.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I was like, she's lucky.
So this book, yeah, it's an adventure between the two of them, mostly.
And it looks like she destroyed all the other dominoes. Like, they're all dead now.
Yeah, and every time she does, she gets a little bit of her luck back.
Yes, but she didn't get all of her luck back because then they crash the freight train or whatever that all of them were on, and she fucking dies. Oh my God, they killed Domino. You bastards.
They're dying a lot.
Yeah, well now it's just like, then they died. All right, whatever. But she was like, you need to make sure I remember my pain when I come back.
I want to remember my pain. Dying's my fetish. Me too, tovarish.
And then she's going to get her lovely skin back.
Like, what's that movie, Crash? Not the one that won the Oscar, but the one that was about...
The one with James Spader and Holly
Hunter.
That's a Cronenberg movie. That movie...
They get off on car accidents.
So good. Now, because here, I remember watching this movie and I was watching with two dumb cunts that, well, I'm friends with them, but I mean, that I went to school with. And they're like, oh my God, this is dumb. And I was like, this is hot. And I remember turning to my one friend and I'm like, if they're so into car crashes, it wouldn't matter if it was boy or girl. They would do gay stuff too. And then James Spader and the one guy start making out in a car. And I was like, I am here for this. Now, I have to just say one other thing about the movie Crash before you make your point. There was one part that totally took me out of it. And I specifically remember James Spader had a sex scene with his wife and she was making him reenact the car crash and talk about the sex with the dude. And she kept being like, so then did he kiss you? And he's like, yes. And she's like, and then did he touch your anus? Did you touch his anus? And I'm like, ew, who says anus during sex? Stop saying anus.
So clinical.
I know. I distinctly remember that. That's a really good movie though.
So I want Colossus and Domino to become like a couple addicted to dying. Yes, they can only get off if they die together.
But wasn't Colossus supposed to be part of X-Force the whole time? Wasn't he in like the original like picture and lineup? Wasn't he there?
Yeah, I guess it's just a slow build to get him there.
Okay. Well, let's get back to some Quentin choir.
Yeah, not enough Quentin.
Yeah. All right.
And it was good, but it didn't have enough Quentin.
Yeah. I think they should put Gwenpool on the team. Isn't she a mutant now, technically?
No. Is she?
Yeah, at the end of the Gwenpool miniseries. She made herself a mutant.
Awesome.
Because she can change reality. And in reality, she's like, why do I do this? She's like, well, I know, I'll just make myself a mutant. And she made herself a mutant off panel and then showed up in Krakoa. And that's kind of how it ended.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, enough of that fucking book. Now, let's get on to
Fantastic Four.
Business. Fantastic Four.
Okay, everyone better lighten up, first of all.
Sue Storm is not here to play.
Sue Storm is here to speak to the manager.
She is fucking pissed off. And also, I would say they got their way. The Fantastic Four broke into Krakoa and got into the quiet count, like into the head thing, very easily. I think they should be highly disturbed.
They're the first family, my friend. They're no joke. They're the Fantastic Four.
I know, but I'm just like, if they breached that, like, you need to relook at your shit, because they were just like, oh, we've been here the whole damn time. But then he's like, oh, well, they don't even have Franklin. They're like, who cares? Let's fuck shit up.
Who cares? Hit him.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was a little nuts. It was very violent.
Yeah, they're all fighting each other. I wish there was more of like, I'm fighting you, Iceman, but it's like, you know, Iceman was on the team apparently. Like, you all know each other. Like, sometimes I wish there was a little bit more of the, I don't know. I still love it. I love it though. It's good.
It's fine. Sue Storm is really bothered. Like, her whole thing of like, oh, do you think that my son's better than my daughter? Like,
yeah, and everyone's like, oh, cool your tits down.
We're not framing the narrative that way.
We never said that. But technically, yes.
But yes. Also, I'll tell you who said something when Cyclops said, absolutely not. You know me, Ms. Frost. I live to serve. Mm-hmm. They are so much fun.
Yeah. And she's like, are you getting fucked by Wolverine tonight, or can you fuck me tonight? And he's like, I don't know.
God.
Oh, you my God, me. The fan fiction. The fan fiction that I could be writing right now. But meanwhile, Kitty Pryde is off at a weird Latveria island of their own mutants. Mm-hmm. So he has his own mutants on a separate island, which is very weird. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to fix Franklin. I can fix him. And then Kate Pryde's just like, okay, let's do it.
She's like, okay. Well, because Doom saved Kitty's life once. they do.
And
they
that
do
was
mention
interesting
that.
where he was like, do you understand how much I did to save your life and how much I studied you? He's like, I understand your powers more than any other person.
Ooh. When I read that, I was like, ooh, is this a little seed into her coming back? Like, is there going to be something about her powers that allows her to survive? Is this our first clue? Maybe.
Interesting.
Maybe Doom is going to revive her. He's like, I've always liked the girl.
Yeah, but then in the end, Doom is building. Are those Doombot Sentinels? What were those?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
No.
So, but what more do you expect of Doom? Like,
I don't know. Sometimes he's a good guy.
But he's always ready for the double cross. That's kind of like comes in, he's always out for, Doom number one.
So Doom is only looking out for Doom. Rule number one of the Marvel Universe. Doom is only looking out for Doom. He's looking out for one man, Doom.
But that's the interesting thing is it is going to be fascinating. Do you think Franklin is going to get his powers fixed?
I feel like Franklin's going to be taken off the board.
Really? Why? Because he's too powerful?
Yeah, one less thing to worry about. I don't know. Or, you know what? I would live fully restored, happily ever after, and him and Proteus start hanging out. And Proteus is like, you're my understudy.
Well, what if they bring him... Yeah, I was going to say they bring him in to help with the 5. Interesting. And maybe he's like, oh, we need your help to do this. And then how they said when they do it, they like suddenly need to do it. And like they have to be together all the time. Mm-hmm. And he gets like sucked into all of that. Anyway, I love where it's going. I'm super excited for it.
I love it. I'm super excited. It's going to be interesting how it ends. And now, which of these two glorious masterpieces do we talk about next?
I think we have to talk about X-Men at the very end because it kind of sets.
We absolutely have to.
Let's talk about giant-sized X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost, which basically is a complete reimagining of the Grant Morrison silent issue run. Do you remember the other
X-Men
silent
121?
Because I forgot that it was every issue was silent.
Yeah, no, it was company wide. I remember thinking and hearing and reading that Grant Morrison's new X-Men one was the only one that was effective.
Yeah. I agree. I will say they set up a lot of parallels in the beginning and the end. They actually are just mimicking the exact same.
It's like a shot-for-shot remake with
Gus
some
Van Sant doing Psycho with Anne Heche.
Exactly, but he added masturbation sounds. That was the only change he made. And I would argue that here they add some masturbation sounds because the difference in body language between our 4 characters in the beginning, Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean, Emma, it tells a story of like how the relationship has grown over time if you compare it to the original.
Wait, what do you mean by masturbation sounds?
In Psycho, that was the only change Gus Van Sant made.
Oh, I thought you meant the Giant Size X-Men. There was only masturbation sounds.
Well, metaphorically, because characters have shown that they're much more comfortable and familiar with one another.
So basically, and it's the same thing. I love how it's what is it called? Silence. What was the name of the original issue? Silence.
Telepathic rescue in progress.
In progress, like and it's the same title,
Surgery.
Just in Krakoan.
Yeah.
Storm basically passes out, her nose is bleeding, and Emma and Jean need to venture into her brain to see what's going on. And here is where we see it's the exact same thing, but here is what is different. Instead of Jean kissing Cyclops goodbye, she kisses Wolverine goodbye, and then Cyclops puts his hand on Wolverine's shoulder.
Yep. While Jean looks at the both of them lovingly.
They are so in love with each other.
Also, in the original Morrison run, Emma
Mm-hmm.
is looking back at them coldly, like, wait, like, Jean, hurry up. Here, she's waiting patiently and
With her
extends her
hand out, and then
hand out to
grabs her
Jean
hand,
and
and then
takes her hand.
Jean is the one that goes shh, but
Yeah,
here
this time it's Emma.
goes shh, because they're all
Yeah.
four of them are all in love with each other.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if they went into Storm's brain and then she's like, y'all, what you guys got going on is sick.
Can I get it? What you got going on is real sick. So they go into Storm's brain. I mean, let's talk about Russell Darderman's art.
It's great.
It is the most gorgeous. This swirling combination of Jean and Emma's powers as they go into Storm's mind.
Mm-hmm.
But the best part, as like surreal and wonderful as it is and colorful, is their facial expressions.
Yeah.
How he is able to capture such nuanced emotion and show the difference between these two women with no dialogue. And so clearly, it's so palatable. So good.
So they run into a pair of lions, and the lions are like, how the fuck do you know Storm, basically?
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, now, do the lions ask if they're friends, or are they saying they're friends?
I think
like
Jean is
friends. So
yeah, I think
Jean is like, we're friends. Now that's the thing. These lions, who are these lions? Is this almost like, this feels very like Wakanda-esque?
It does. It does. It does harken back to like the whole
of the Black
Land
Panther,
of the Dead.
Yeah, it feels much like that. And this is,
but it also feels like the tower from the original Grant Morrison. When they go into the Xavier's tower, here instead it's that big tree.
Yeah.
The baobab, is that how you say it?
I have no idea. But
yeah,
here,
so it is very close to Black Panther, but I do appreciate the parallel aesthetic.
She's like, no, we're friends. And Jean Grey shows the Mark Silvestri, one of my favorite panels from Inferno, issue 242. And I know it because it's my favorite issue of all time, of when they finally reunite since she came back to life. And it is good to see you. Aww.
And that makes Storm's psychic defenses in the form of a lion smile. And then the lioness looks at Emma and goes, and you? And Emma shows her the cover of Marauders 8.
No, that's not the cover. Wait, is that the cover of I thought that was... No, I thought that's like an old X-Men thing. Remember when Storm had that, wore the White Queen's outfit and like X-Men 1...
When they switch bodies.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess Marauders 8 is a parody of
exactly.
Is a take
but this
on
is
that,
she's
that
showing
cover.
this being like, well, we kind of didn't get along for a while.
Well, we switch bodies. I've been in here before.
And they're like, no. And so
no good.
Lions turn into a snake, and they just start beating the shit out of Emma. And so
which is another parallel.
Yeah.
Another parallel when Emma got attacked, and like had to fight her way out with Jean's help.
Yeah. She turns into diamond form, but
punches a snake.
Eventually, Jean Grey just rips the whole thing apart, and they end up riding a butterfly elephant to the Baobab. Mm-hmm. How are you saying it?
I can't remember. I've only seen it written.
And they start walking up the steps inside this magic tree, and then Storm's face is like a lot. It's an acid trip, basically. If you don't,
it's very surreal. They're going deeper and deeper into Storm. Well, hey, one thing I love is that Storm basically attacks them, with the thing she fears the most. So they go through the burial.
She's claustrophobic. Yes.
Yeah, they get buried alive. So I love that Storm's brain is like fighting off infection with its own greatest fears. I thought that was really cool.
And finally, they get to Storm, and they get to she's like kind of in an egg, and inside the egg there's all this kind of electronic stuff, kind of almost like warlocky, and there's
circuitry,
like metal machine. What's going on? And then there's like a Krakoan flower, but it also, when they try to lift it up, it's like all circuitry connected to it. And that was one, just like her, like Emma, like like pulling her
Yes.
glove to lift it up. It's just
Yeah,
so...
and her like fuck it face. Her like,
Yeah.
might as well. It's
And
so
they
good.
finally pull Storm out of this egg thing, but then her skin falls off and she's just a fucking robot with a
With a
timer on
countdown.
her, a countdown.
And then she lightnings the words "save me,"
Yeah.
which is like, it's very beautifully desperate. Like it's a real, it's drawn like a real cry for help. So much so that Jean is just like overcome with compassion, and even Emma is like shocked out of it.
Yeah, Emma's like,
And
this is fucked up.
This is serious. Like, I love Jean immediately embracing Storm
And
with
then
Emma
Emma
standing
comes down
over.
and hugs her too.
Yes.
And then
Wow, it's such a nice touch.
and Cyclops are just sitting right next to each other. Do you remember
Instead
what it was?
of
Across from each other.
across from each other, and Scott had earbuds in.
Yeah, and now here they're next to each other, giving each other support.
And Logan is even picking and smelling a flower.
Yeah. And that's when we finally get some words. There's some words in the very beginning when they find Storm, but where it's the exact same thing, where it ends with "we ought to talk." The children of the vault gave Storm a machine virus that's going to kill her in the next 30 days. We ought to talk. Now, is that and the talk is, we just let her die and then bring her back? All right,
we can do that now. And then we're done. Yeah. I wonder if that is what happened. So this is the beginning of a multi-year plan for Storm. Hickman said that. We said that last episode.
So I wonder if this machine thing is this is like how is this going to affect her? Because he said,
right.
This is going to affect her for years.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right, that leads us to X-Men number 7. And this is where they're like, all right, we're going to go there. And because I kept asking questions like, what about this? What about this? What happens with these people? What about the people who lost their powers? What about these people? You know what I mean? I was like, what? And Hickman's like, oh, here are the answers. And we start
Or just here's an acknowledgement that we all have a ton of questions about this.
Yeah. And we start with one Melody. I thought Melody was dead, but apparently she was just depowered.
She was depowered and she almost died. She was saved by Beast. She jumped off the fucking roof.
But
of the
her
mansion.
brother died.
Yeah, Josh was killed by the purifiers, right?
Yes, but he is here.
But he's there.
And it's the whole family is back. And that's when I was like, oh, that's right. She doesn't have her powers. So I think that's the thing, is when they said no more mutants, you're still mutant enough to cross through the gate? I find that interesting.
Or maybe they brought her through. Yeah, humans can go through with a companion with permission.
And they basically keep talking about the Crucible. The Crucible.
The tension that they're building for this thing, the mystery, like when everyone's just like during a lull in conversation. Yeah, Crucible's today. Oh,
and it was like, they have to read that dumb play about the thinly veiled metaphor
is that
for
Goody Proctor.
Yeah, but it was all a thinly
Letter.
veiled metaphor for the communist, for like communism, the McCarthy era communism.
Well,
I saw Goody Proctor with the devil. Anyway, so she's basically like, so they keep talking about the Crucible. The Crucible. Who's got the Crucible? Like, I feel like.
Well, let's talk about Scott and Logan's conversation, because these two smell of sex.
Yeah. Okay. So he walks up, and it's almost like he's saying, "Why aren't you in bed, baby? What, you can't sleep?
Why aren't you in bed, baby? What's
so it's
the matter?
kind of like you can't sleep." He walked out because he's like, "Hey, you're not in bed with us." And this is where it gets crazy. Can we just sit here like men, drink our coffee, and enjoy a quiet moment for once instead of having sex? See, that's what I'm reading.
Yeah, instead of the opposite, which is screaming like, fucking like rabbits.
But then he talks about going on vacation. here's where it is. The scenery at that place is something else. And Scott goes, it sure is. And then Wolverine says, Genie in a bikini. And then Scott says, Scott in a Speedo. Does Wolverine say, fuck you? Does Wolverine say gross? No, he just says, well, who could say no to that? What the fuck? Ah! Francis, my dreams are coming true!
It's unreal. Like even Wolverine saying, can't we sit here? And it's italicized, like men. There's even a little bit of like Logan's own self-loathing biphobia coming out a little bit.
Because that's the thing is,
which
you know what
just
it
makes
is?
it more real to me.
But Wolverine and Cyclops, they always fought. They never got along. They were always at odds. And most of it does stem from he hated that he had Jean. And that was the weird thing is he realized the only way he can have Jean is if he has Scott too. And it solved everything. And that kind of freaks him out. It freaks him out that everything is solved. He literally has everything he wants. And he's never had that before. And can we also say after Wolverine says, who could say no to that? Scott just says, great!
Great.
But Wolverine doesn't want to go.
This vacation is being very hyped up. I demand this vacation happen soon.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back to him saying to Rachel when he's hanging out with Rachel and Cable.
I'll take you.
We should go to Chandler.
What if that whole thing is just Rachel finding out that they're all fucking and then she freaks out? She
knows.
And then he like chops up her body and they hide and they're like, oh, she just went to space. So you don't have to reincarnate her. And she's gone forever.
Went to space. That's totally what's going to happen.
But anyway, Wolverine is like, I'm not going to go to the Crucible. I just don't want to be... I don't want to be like, part of it.
And it looks like you're asking Cyclops for someone to tell you that like the Crucible's fine, it's okay, it's the moral thing to do, it's the right thing to do. I'm not that guy. Go talk to a priest. And Scott says, you know what? I think I am.
So he goes to talk to Kurt.
But on the way,
an interesting thing.
What?
He goes like, hello, Douglas. Sees Doug with Krakoa and Warlock. And then he's like, wait, what? And he looks back and Doug is just by himself. And also Doug does not have the Warlock arm when Warlock is sitting next to him. And then suddenly Doug is back. What? Does anyone know what Krakoa says?
No, because that's not, that's like Krakoa's own, the one that only Cypher can speak.
Well,
but there's a little bit of like horror vibe here. Little creepy.
Yeah, something weird's going on.
Warlock smiling like that was super creepy. But Doug's behavior, like he's just icy cool, like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
No, everything's good. Yeah, Kurt's over there. Okay, bye-bye.
And then we get to Kurt, and they're talking about how there's this like weird temple tower that's part of Krakoa that no one can get into. But Kurt says that he can teleport into it. What do you think is the significance of this?
Mystery. That evidently there's like a subjective heaven inside of the building, which gives one of faith pause. I think and I go back to House of X #1 where we saw the tarot card of this tower and a tarot card of Cardinal next to it. This is all the beginning of a mutant religion. And it stems from this tower, which is this growing out of Krakoa naturally? Was this created like back during the apocalypse days? Like, what is this? Which
of Moira's lives were all the people that like who was the person that had like Colossus and kitties and where it was all the chimeras? Is that what they were called? No. Is that what they were called?
The chimeras.
Chimeras? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Which life was that? Was that the apocalypse life? No. Was it?
Yeah, I think that was like 9.
Okay. So that's the thing is they start talking about things that are kind of referencing things that might
Chimeras.
happen in the future. And I'm wondering
Scott and
if
Nightcrawler's
Myra is
whole
like,
like,
I feel like Myra, do you think Myra is down for that to happen or feels it shouldn't happen?
well, they ultimately
Because
betray
we've
them.
seen later, and that it's of which comic was it? It wasn't even in an X-Men comic. I feel when Sinister revealed that he's going to do his own shit.
Yeah, that was in like that was in Incoming.
Incoming, yeah, where he's like, all right, you said that I can't clone people that are already cloned, but what if I just make new humans from
Hmm.
other people, so he's like, so they're already doing that, and I wonder if Myra is like, we shouldn't be doing that or we should. I'm very interested in
Yeah,
that.
it seems like the concept though was just born in this timeline right now.
Yeah, because
Like during this philosophical, yeah, the wills.
people are writing wills, and now the wills are not what do you want to give other people when you die. Your will is how do you want to come back. And we've
Yeah.
had the things with Domino where it's like, when I come back, I don't want to remember this with my life. When I come back, I but now people are like, I want to come back, I want to be in this body, which right now is not allowed.
Right.
And
Right.
can we
But
just
a
also
lot of people are
see
demanding it.
that they also still they have fully demonized the Scarlet Witch. She is a
Well, I
full
want
on
to talk
villain to
about
them.
that. That's it's to me it's important when you're building a culture, when certainly when you're in an issue about building a religion, you need a myth. You need myth making.
Yeah.
You need to base your faith on these stories of lore. And because of past actions, the Scarlet Witch is the Lucifer of Krakoa, of whatever religion, whatever faith, whatever belief system is taking hold. She is cast in the Satan role, which, like, she's literally being demonized. Yes, but in myth, in story, like I don't think this is ever going to turn into like Krakoa deciding they need to go beat up the Scarlet Witch. Like she's a symbol of something that's very necessary when you're doing what they're doing.
But what is going to fucking happen? She's going to show up at some point, and that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, now that Marvel has got Fox back, I mean, I'm thinking Pietro and Wanda will be mutants again shortly.
Mm-hmm. Um,
But this Exodus talking to the kids was fascinating to me. Like just for them to cover their ears, like pretender, pretender, like these rituals born out of story. It's just so fascinating. It's so good to me. I love it.
so then it's back to Cyclops, and then he's kind of asking Kurt, like, "Hey, how did you come up with doing this Crucible thing at the Quiet Council?" And he's like, "Didn't you talk to Emma? Didn't you talk to Jean?" And he's like, "Ah." He's kind of like, "I almost kind of don't want to hear it from them. I'm too scared to kind
Yeah.
of know how they agreed to do this." And
Yeah.
Kurt's just like, it's probably a good idea. So I
Yeah.
I would have loved to be a whole like a fly on the wall listening to this. And what we do is we get there. Almost every person in Krakoa is just gathering around just to see. It's like an arena fight, and
Yeah. And by the way,
yeah,
on the old map of Krakoa from early issues, like House of X early, when they showed you like all the different locations on the Krakoan island, then it was in there. The arena is next to the Magnus Arbor, I think it's called, where they resurrect. Like those two things are right next to each other.
right,
Even back then.
yeah. So when did when was Melody with the new X-Men? Was that when
Yeah,
she
like
showed up?
when they were like all those different
With
teams, like where they were
Hellion
like when
and
they turned it into like
Mercury, all that
yeah,
stuff.
and it was like extended though when like Gambit had a squad and Emma
Yeah,
had the
but all she can
Hellions, like
do is
everybody had a
fly.
team.
Like that's all she
Yeah,
does is fly. She doesn't have
yeah,
telekinesis, right?
I don't think so.
But here it turns out that she basically has to battle Apocalypse
For the
because
right to be
for
resurrected.
the right to be resurrected, and that's the thing is so to stop people from committing suicide, which I'm still like, hey, if you really want to die, just fucking commit suicide. But maybe they have a rule like if you just kill yourself, we're not going to resurrect you then. I mean, maybe they have
Yeah.
a rule with that, but it's like you actually have to fight to get resurrected. If you want to be resurrected, then fight for it. And there's poor Sam and Paige are just having to sit there
And Josh.
and watch their sister basically get murdered by Apocalypse.
Basically get beat to death. Basically, watch their sister get beat to death by Apocalypse. I will say, he did this with a what's the phrase? A iron glove wrapped in velvet glove or cast in iron or whatever.
Yeah.
It was very empowering. Everything he said to her, and it was very like.
It's kind of like, are you sure you want to do this? He's giving her outs.
Yeah,
he was
giving her outs.
And at the same time, Kurt and Cyclops are just like, hey, by the way, what happens to our souls though? Like, I'm a priest. Like, I believe we have souls. What happened to our souls when we died in space? When we were resurrected? Are we really us?
Are we us?
Do we have souls? And Cyclops answers, he's like, this is the first time I really felt like myself. Like,
hey,
what does that mean?
There's a line.
If this is wrong, I don't want to be right.
I'm a bisexual bottom, and I got to tell you, I've never been happier.
Yeah. I wonder if they were... yeah, I guess were they fucking before the mission?
Oh boy, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack in this. Obviously Sam, in typical Sam Guthrie fashion, says, "I can't take it anymore," and like goes to rush the fight, but is stopped by Skin.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse murders Melody. Like, she just fights to the end.
Yeah.
To prove that she really does want to be mutant again.
And then here's where Kurt mentions some people not only want to be with different bodies, but it's like, why some people want to combine bodies. Why not 2? Why not 3? And then that's where it's like the chimeras. Is that how you say chimera? Chim, chiri?
I think it's chimera.
Chimera. I just read a meme where if you write -2 plus =, it's the beat of a chimney tree.
I'm looking at the pronunciation. Oh, wait, hold on 1 sec. Give me this.
Chimera.
Chimera.
Mirror.
That's what I said. Okay. Oh my God.
It is with a
that was so condescending.
K. It is with a solid K.
Chimera. Chimera. Listen how condescending this guy is.
Chimera. Chimera.
Okay. Like, I got it when you said chimera.
Chimera. He's a bot. Like, what a bossy bottom.
What a bossy bottom, like Cyclops. The Crucibles today.
But then it's so creepy because it just cuts to black after she dies. And then it just cuts right to her coming out of the egg crying. And then she's
so happy.
But that's the big... It's also they picked the perfect person because her powers are flight.
Yes.
And she just starts to float off the ground with her powers. For a second, I was like, what if her powers aren't back and that's the whole thing? But no, it worked. And then she just fucking flies into the heavens and everyone's just looking like, look at her.
Everyone's like, oh, it's she's so back. Spiritual and angelic. And
Kurt is like, I have to start my own mutant
So
religion.
that is, I really think that might be my favorite end to an X-Men issue in a really, really long time. There's something so just iconic about the lines, yes, it is. Scott, yeah? I think I need to start my own mutant religion. It's just so iconic.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot of X-Men. Oof.
It's just some deep X-Men. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially once they get into the release and when are they releasing the I guess that's X Factor. When the X Factor comes out, all of that shit, all that weird shit of dying and suicides and people missing and keeping track of that shit, That's going to be so fucking good. You know who I really wish they would have write X Factor? You know who?
Who?
Peter David.
It's Leia Williams, so I'll take her.
Oh, no, and I'm sure she'll do great, but Peter David knows those characters. And if anyone would have no, what? They probably wouldn't give it to him because he'd have too much of a field day.
Knows what characters?
Lorna. Who else is
Lorna, that's it.
That's it, Lorna. Whatever. He'd be great. He'd be great. Don't fuck with Peter David.
Meh.
He's my favorite. I hate you.
Old news.
I hate you. Fucking
In the future.
bitch. All right, let's get critical.
Cue the music.
Let's get
Critical. I wanna get critical of some TV shows.
All right, so last week, Brett talked about The Outsider, which
Not The Outsiders, not Ponyboy and Tom Cruise.
The Outsider. And
The
this
Outsider.
this is like the new, me and my boyfriend, this is like our new show.
Does Joe get scared?
Oh, I'll tell you about this. I will tell you about what happened. First of all, we're watching it, and as we said, so in this, like Jason Bateman's character suddenly is like in two places at once, and it's like, how did he do this?
Yeah.
Did he do it? Didn't he do it? And Joe's like, what's going on? You knew. You said you talked about this on the podcast. What's going on? And I was like, I'm not saying anything. And honestly, you didn't give away that much, so I didn't really know.
No.
So I was like, I don't know. And then he was like, hand me my phone. And then I was like, no, you're going to look and see what and spoil the whole show, because that's what he does, a la
I hate
Parasite. And so I was like, no, I'm not giving you your phone. And he's like, no, I just need to text something. And I was like, no. And he's like, no, I'm not going to look it up. I really need to text somebody. And I was like, you're a liar.
Is he
And I'm
is he
not
just
giving
looking
you
it up
the
to
phone.
see? Is he looking it up to see if like anything gross or scary is going to happen
Yes.
that he needs to prepare for?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was like, no. And I wouldn't
That
give
is
him the
so
phone.
cute. I did that when I was a kid.
And so then he was like, no, just give me the damn phone. I'm not going to check it. I really need to look. I'm supposed to respond back to someone about where blah, 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 blah. And I handed it back. And then suddenly he seemed fine. And I was like, you looked, didn't you? And he was like, no. And I was like, yeah, fucking piece of shit. He fucking can't handle it. He can't handle not knowing. So he
knows the whole ending of the whole show?
He went in and fucking looked like what happened in the books, compared the books to the show. Like,
Just watch the show.
But he's still really into it. And we watched, and it was like last night, we watched, like, we're like on episode 5, I believe. And it's
nice.
right
You're further than me.
Than you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I won't give too much away. But then they're starting to talk about what this being is.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. And all I know is that Joe, he could not fall asleep with the lights off.
Do you mean the answer as to what the thing is really
Yes.
scary?
Yes.
Oh,
And
that's
the
so
way,
interesting.
Well, the way they were kind of showing did you see that episode?
Not
where she
yet.
goes
That's
to New York?
The next one.
Oh, okay.
No, next.
All I'm just saying is there's scenes. Did you see the part with Mayor Winningham, the wife?
Yes.
The scary part that happened with her with the glass?
Yes.
All right. So that was fucking creepy. Other creepy things. It's like that level of creepiness was happening in the next episode 2. And then Joe had to like sleep with the lights on.
Fuck. I love that he has to look it up to see if anything gross happens.
But right now, it's a real good show. It's a real good show.
Yeah. Ben Mendelsohn's great.
Yeah. Although there is the thing where I hate it when people are like, oh, there's this monster coming to get me. No, it's fine. It's all in your head. When all of these things, like literally proving that the monster exists, is like right in your face.
I think I actually said that out loud to my husband while watching the show last time. I was like, I cannot stand characters who try to prevent the action that is steeped in the very concept of what I'm watching. Like,
Yeah.
the character that prevents advancement. Oh, I hate that character.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a really good show. Watch it, guys. It's super creepy. It's super creepy. Um, Things that kill children is always creepy.
Yeah, not a good
Something's
look.
killing the children.
Ooh, one thing that's killing the children is Netflix because they watch too damn much of it, and sometimes a murder ray shoots out of it and kills a child.
Is that you just trying to transfer to the other show?
Yeah, I am.
We watched This Is Not Okay.
No, I am not okay with this.
I am not okay with this. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to give it 3 other different versions before the show is over.
It's going to be called Everybody Hates Chris by the time we're done with this
Hey, are you
review.
okay? Starring 2 It stars.
Two of the kids from It.
Yeah. So this is based on a comic book. And so I started watching it, and it was very much feeling like, oh, they're literally doing all of the VO of the comic book from the very first episode. You know what I mean?
It does feel like that. It totally does. Yeah.
So here's the thing. It was only 20 minutes an episode. 7 episodes.
Yeah, I watched
So
it
we
on my
just
whole
watched
plane
the whole
ride.
thing. Brett, what did you like this? Did you not like it?
I liked it a lot. It held my attention the whole time.
I knew it.
Yeah, it held my attention the whole time. Never was I like, oh, I gotta watch another episode. I looked forward to the whole journey. I liked it. You didn't?
I don't feel it was to the level where I was like, oh, this is awful. But I feel like there's so many stories of this type that have been done before. And this is kind of at the bottom of the barrel of them. You know what I mean?
I just think it's adorable. It's not awesome. It was cute.
The
It's very
story
cute.
of it's basically like Carrie meets Jean Grey meets Stranger Things. It's also like, why is it kept trying to
It's
be
a great example. I mean,
because
it's a
it
great
didn't take
description.
place in the 80s. Why is everything in the 80s? Why is everyone dressed like they're in the 80s? Why is everyone playing things on cassette tapes? Why is everyone driving 80s cars? And then they go, oh, let me get my cell phone out. And I was like, I'm telling you, it was 3 episodes in and I really thought they were in 1984.
So me too.
And they only
Me too.
did it because of like the Stranger Things. Like, and that's where I'm like,
Yeah.
I felt the direction was very bad. And I do feel just because the comic book had VO, she does not need to describe like,
It was unnecessary.
all right, so then I'm walking into my room. Yeah, we fucking see you walk into the room. Don't just shut the fuck up. Like I don't mind VO, but she was literally describing every single moment. And it was driving
Well, a lot
me
of the
crazy.
VO was her internal monologue. She's a character who, didn't really say what she was thinking, and so a lot of the VO though was like what was happening inside of her head.
Yes. And so then halfway through it, and of course I watched the first one with Joe, and Joe was like, this is garbage. I was like, all right, you can't watch anymore because I'm going to watch all of it. And I can't have you saying this in my ear the whole time. But then I was like, I want to compare this to the book. So I literally was watching it and reading the comic at the same time.
What an experience.
And the comic is not what I expected. You should look up the drawings they look like Popeye and olive oil. Like the main character looks like olive oil.
Really?
Like it's drawn very weird. And this show and the comic is very depressing. All right, so here's point blank. This girl is starting to get psychic powers a la Carrie, and she can't control them a la Jean Grey. And her dad is dead, and she's one of those girls that hates everything. She totally has a lady boner for her best friend. But it's like, high school shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
And
bullies.
and she meets this one guy that's totally in love with her, and she lets him eat her pussy out and fuck her, but then she's like, nope, I'm a fucking lesbo. I don't want to be with you. And meanwhile, her powers keep getting more and more out of control. And at the same time, she keeps on like seeing this being following her.
A shadow person.
Like a shadow person. And so then they decide to go to homecoming. And if you saw Carrie in the prom, telekinetics and school dances are never a good idea.
Well, they have a whole like scene in like episode 1 where the male lead, her nerdy friend who she has sex with, Stanley from It, and his name was Stanley in this as well. Who's so cute, by the way. I think the actor's name is Wyatt Olaf, and he's great. He was my favorite part of the show. He was like, you ever watch something just knowing it's not going to end well, and you're watching it the whole time, and you're thinking, oh, they're so screwed. There's no way this is going to end well. So they I think they meta commentaried on after you see. It starts at the end, so it starts with her running down the street covered in blood. It literally opens
with her running, covered in blood.
And you just don't know the context, but you know we're going to get there.
But we see once it gets to homecoming, you're like, oh, she's wearing the outfit.
You're like, oh, here comes the blood.
But what happens is spoiler alert, we're just going to fucking give it all away. When she sees the dude, the boyfriend of her best friend, the school bully stole her diary, and so he knows everything. And he's about to expose her in front of the whole school. And he already
exposes her as a lesbian.
Yes. But now he's going to expose her powers. And she's already used her powers to give him a nosebleed once. This time, she just fucking explodes his whole body.
I have to say, I was on a plane watching this. And,
you just laugh out loud?
When his head exploded, I was like, oh! It was quite a moment.
And she goes up to the tower. And the being follows her, and she's just like, should I be afraid of you?
Yeah, the old water tower.
And the person says, no, they should be afraid. And I guess it's and he's like, let's
get started.
Yeah, so now it's maybe I wonder if this will get a second season.
Well, they set that up too when Stanley was like, okay, he's trying to figure out what her origin story is, where she got her powers, and he's looking through his comic books, and he's like, have you ever been visited by a mentor figure, someone who shows up right when your powers flare up and are like, I can help you? Has anyone like that visited you? And she's like, no, but that's exactly what happens at the end.
So I like the comic better because I'm going to tell you some of the differences.
Oh. Please do.
In the movie, they also make kind of basically was the dad had the same powers, and that she might have gotten the powers from her dad. In the comic book, she is not telekinetic. Well, a little bit. She's a little bit telekinetic, but mostly it's her. She can hurt people when she thinks hard and stares at someone. She can make their nosebleeds and hurt them. And it's only one time does she actually use her powers, and she flings someone across the room. But basically, she's in love with her best friend, and her best friend is not this fun little bubbly girl. Her best friend is a badass, smoking, druggy, slutty bitch who's kind of mean. And she's dating this other asshole guy. And because she's in love with her friend, she hates this guy. And he ends up kind of roughing her up. She gets pregnant, and he beats her up and throws her out of a car when he finds out she's pregnant because he was mad at her for not using protection.
Oh my God. And they look like olive oil while this is happening?
Yeah. So the main character, Sydney, finds out about this and visits her friend in the hospital, Dina. And she gets so angry, she goes to where the guy works and just straight up murders him. And the guy, what's his name? Stanley? The guy Stanley, he never finds, he's in it too, but no one finds out that she has powers.
Oh.
So then she starts she goes to the funeral, and she realizes how sad everyone is. And then she's like, what is going on? And then she realizes that, she killed this guy, but now the friend is like, I loved him so much. And she's like, what the fuck? And she realizes, she's like, I'm having trouble controlling it. It's getting worse. And then one day she's looking at her finger, and she blows her finger up.
Jesus.
And then she's like, I can't control this anymore, and I'm just hurting people, and I just keep hurting people. So she climbs up to that tower, just like at the end of this. She climbs up to the tower, and she writes in the diary, she's like, I know suicide is bad, but I feel like I'm just going to hurt more people if I stay alive. And she puts the book down, sits down, thinks real hard, and her head explodes. And that's the end of the whole thing. She fucking kills herself at the end of this. I was like,
oh, the title makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. So real dark.
So is there any mentor figure who shows up and is like, come to my school, I can help you?
Her powers, when she uses her powers, she sees a shadow come out and attack the person.
Oh, so they did something different. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of
Wow.
like, so I will say if it's going off the book, that thing is still in her head. That's just her powers. That person that's talking to her.
Interesting. Maybe Stanley, when he brought up that mentor figure, planted that in her head. Wow.
Anyway, I would say watch it. It's entertaining and it's super quick, but it's not
short.
It's not the most well-made thing I've ever seen. But the acting is good.
Yeah. It's a cute cast.
Yeah.
It's got fun moments.
Yeah.
It's about powers. It's about Jean Grey. Who doesn't love Jean Grey?
But can we just have a moment where maybe a redheaded woman discovers she has telekinetic powers and does have control over them? Carrie, Jean Grey, Sydney.
I mean,
Sydney from Melrose Place, another redhead that couldn't control her anger.
her anger powers.
She kept throwing people in the pool.
She, not since Heather Locklear had someone invigorated that show.
I know.
with their
At first, Heather
appearance
Locklear
so much.
reinvigorated it, and then she came onto the scene.
And
was
then
like,
she was stale.
No, and then Marsha Cross came back and saved the show. There's time. I was just describing the scene from Marsha Cross. Where did you watch all of Melrose Place?
When she took her wig off and had a big...
Well, no, there was that. No, the part where Joe, the character Joe, had a baby, and she went into labor, and Marsha Cross was like, "I'll deliver the baby," and then she delivers the baby, and Marsha Cross is like, "Go clean yourself up, and we'll go to the hospital." And so she goes to her apartment, cleans herself up, and then she knocks on the door. She's like, "All right, I'm ready to go, Kimberly." And Kimberly opens the door, breastfeeding Joe's baby, and she's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "That's my baby." And she's like, "This is my baby." And closes the door. And Joe's like banging the door like, "Give me my baby."
How is she
This is
breastfeeding?
the best show ever. The baby's just sucking on a dry boob.
This is my baby now.
Oh, God. Anyway, watch Melrose Place. And read comics.
Yeah.
And subscribe to us. And rate us.
Subscribe.
And like us.
And write us a review. And rate us and like us and adore us. Shower us with kisses.
Mm-hmm. Because guess what? Me and Brett are sluts. So we will take also tasteful nudes. Even not tasteful nudes.
Even not tasteful
We'll take
nudes.
dick pics. Whole pics.
Yeah.
Side boob pics.
Yep.
The only thing we will not take is any woman doing the two fingers opening your vagina. We will not accept that.
And no puke or scat, actually.
Oh, that's a given. No. Anyway.
Everything else, fair game.
This was a gay episode. Gay. Wolverine, Cyclops, fucking lesbian, telekinetics.
Pale.
Because it does. If you like, here, I hate to break it to you guys, but this is how it is. If you read comics, well, then that makes you
queer.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.